Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super Fantify. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Mecha-Ude Mechanical Arms Season 1, Episode 6. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we immediately pick up in the aftermath of where last episode left off, and it ended up being this interesting thing where Aki is telling Hikaru is like, yo, you have to come with me, because Hikaru is like, oh, what's happening? Like, this is having to do something to do with the revenge you're trying to get. And she's like, you're gonna have to come with me. And then Hikaru is like, okay. And she interrupts him by being like, even if I have to force you to. And that's something I didn't even think about last episode. It's like, right, if Aki had just asked him for help, Hikaru would have went along. You wouldn't even have to force him. You could have just lied to him by being like, yo, like, come along with me. But in her mind, it's like, she never thought her and Hikaru that close. It's like, right, I'm the person that looks after you. But if I asked you to do this for me, like, put your life on the line, like, he could have helped her try to potentially find another way. But that's a little bit, and that plays into Aki's character too, that she's not very big into asking for help. I don't think it comes natural to her, because yeah, she's a part of ARMS and stuff, but like asking for help isn't, because for her it's like, this is between me and my revenge. But more so now it's like, no, it's me and my sister trying to save my sister's life. I think it didn't even cross her mind. She felt guilty about it, obviously. She sat on it for a while, not saying anything about it to Hikaru or reluctantly being around him, but it never crossed her mind to actually ask him for help if he'd actually try and help willingly. Obviously, it doesn't help that you have June there ready to fight Aki back. To be fair, it's like, obviously he's backing up Hikaru, because it's like, yo, if anyone's going to beat Hikaru, it's me. He's my opponent. He's my prey. But he also immediately knows about the Amaryllis situation, because he's like, oh, the thing is obviously manipulating you. Are you stupid? And once again, she's just like, right, that thing in her mind, it's like, that thing may be wanting to get what it wants, but it never crossed her mind it might be controlling her sister. But it's like, no, whatever the case may be, even if the thing is using me, I'm sure for Aki, I mean, once again, Aki is very, like, bullheaded and stubborn and just, like, straightforward. She doesn't really think things through. And obviously she's in a very heightened emotional state. She thought her entire family was dead. She now finds out her sister's alive, but also she's in a dying state. So it's like, I've got to go save her. So Aki has to go through all of this, so she's not thinking. But even if she was thinking, she's probably thinking, if I could sustain this thing, at the very least I could get Fubuki alive long enough so we can find some permanent remedy. If Hikaru isn't a permanent remedy, we could deal with that afterwards. My sister's running out of time. I don't even want to have to wait around, for things to kind of play out that way. But June keeps bringing up the point. It's like, no, like, this is what's going to happen, but you're being too stubborn. But Hikaru gets in the way, and he's like, right, whatever Aki wants, I'll do what I can. And it's like, wait, why? And he's like, because you're my friend. And that's what made Aki go like, right, we're not friends. The fact of the matter is, I only, like, look after you because it's part of my job. You can't help me. You don't understand my situation. She's saying everything she can, because she is trying to protect him, because she's like, right, am I willing to sacrifice Hikaru for the sake of my sister? And it's like, yes, I want my revenge and I want to save my sister, but it's like, do I want to go this route? This is also the person I'm supposed to look after. And whether she realized it in that moment or not, she verbally says it later in the episode, but I think in that moment, if she didn't care about Hikaru at all, then she wouldn't, like I said, have sat on it so long and kind of ruminated about it. It's because she does care about him. He was already a friend. She had just never realized it. And I think in that moment is when she realized it. Granted, it's not till later in the episode when she finally verbally says it. But yeah, she leaves, and obviously Hikaru's beating himself up about it, because he's like, right, am I really even helping her just to help? It's like, yeah, I'm doing it just to make myself feel better, aren't I? And it's like, and that's a very existential thing of, that becomes a thing. And from a philosophical standpoint, like, when you're trying to do good, but it's for selfish reasons, does that take away the good? And once again, you go by the standards of the good place. If you're doing something for selfish reasons, it nullifies any good you're trying to do, because you're not doing it just for the sake of doing something good. But Alma tells him, like, no, I know your character. Nothing's ever going to change that about your character. You do care and just want to help people. He just he wants to help people, but it's just he's got a fear inside of himself. Like, he's scared to like step up. It doesn't come natural to him. He's very passive in that regard, but he does have that instinct to help. I mean, if he didn't, he wouldn't have like reached out to Alma when Alma was calling out to him. It was interesting too, because June was just going to sit on the sidelines, but until he heard Hikaru say like, right, I'm just going to get in her way. And it seems like that's his fear when it came to his brother. And I guess because maybe he despises his brother for letting him feel that way, or feeling that way at some point in time of like, you know, because it's, once again, we don't know the deep-seated nature of him and his brother's relationship. But the fact is that he looks back on that memory and it's like, oh, like looking at Hikaru now being in a kind of his pity party, it's like, it pisses me off because it reminds me of me. It's like looking in a mirror in that point in time. And I wonder, does he regret ever feeling like that at one point in time? Or does he blame it, like I said, does he blame his brother for making him feel that way? Like, I am like going to get in your way. But it was enough to convince Hikaru, like, right, he does want to help out Aki, because at the end of the day, no matter what she says, even if he's not supposed to get involved, even if this is between her and her sister, his friend is in danger and he wants to help her. At the same time, Doc Glasses, once again I can never remember his name, him and the other member from ARMS who is helping out from last episode, they end up looking up files about Amaryllis and find out about the incident, and using some, I guess, I don't think they had the audio from the footage, but I guess like using a program, maybe they were able to read the lips, and they found out about the identity of the Mecha-Ude user who has Amaryllis, and that being Fubuki. And the leader of ARMS shows up and he's like, yo, like, I've known about this for a while and I've just been hoping to handle it on my own, but maybe that was my mistake. He didn't want to tell Aki the truth. It wasn't on some, like, I mean, I think Alma's brother, like that, his Mecha, like the Mecha-Ude that is his brother, I think it might have been putting up a front last episode about kind of the whole, like, right, we don't care about each other, we're just a group, but it's like, then why would you not tell Aki? He was like, yo, I didn't tell Aki because I didn't know how to really, like, I figured that'd be hard for her to deal with, like, knowing the thing that killed her mom and dad is now possessing her sister as well. So it's like, that's a lot to kind of, you know, chew on, because the big conversation also was, well, why now? If obviously this thing has been around for years, obviously it's had Fubuki for years, why pop up now? And it's like, because Alma awoke. Like, Alma's awakening is what they're after. They're after the arbitrium inside of Hikaru. Like, anyone that's able to connect with Alma in that regard must have a special, unique, which we kind of get into a little bit, but we still don't have the answers to. But Aki is trying to talk to her sister, but once again, it's not her sister in control. It's Amaryllis using her like a puppet, like a doll, as she says. And she's like, right, you could use my arbitrium, but it's like, no, it needs to be Hikaru's. But Aki can't really fight back, because if she does, this thing has control of her sister. And it's like, oh, like, how about I take you? You're not really that smart, but I'm tired of this doll, so I'll switch to a different body. Luckily, Jun and Hikaru show up to fight, but this thing, which I think is so interesting, it recognizes Ouroboros. It's like, oh, this thing's like a fake version of me. It's just like a very like weaker like copy of me. And so it's overpowering Jun, and to the point that Hikaru can't really fight without, you know, Aki being used as a hostage. And so it pierces him and starts draining his arbitrium to the point that it starts overflowing. And I thought we were going to have like a, what was it? One of the androids from DBZ like blew up that way, didn't they? It wasn't. I'm trying to remember. Was it? I was like, no, because like Vegeta just regularly killed 19, didn't he? Or what? Like I was like, didn't one of the androids die by like overflowing with too much power? I mean, that's kind of like the cliche thing, not cliche thing, but that's the typical tactic of you dealing with someone that does absorption. You fill them with so much power that they can't handle it, and Amaryllis couldn't handle it. And she did say it's interesting. She was like, bro, it's been like 100 years, and she knows Alma, and he's like, well, you know me? And she's like, yes. So go ahead and finishing the line of dialogue from later on, like after the fight ended, she did say like, Yakumo, you're the reason why he died. You're the reason why we're all in this state. So I guess that kind of puts a time frame on all the stuff that went down. So it was like 100 years ago. Like I said, because June talked about Yakumo being an ancestor, but he never like talked about whether that was his grandfather or great grandfather. So that was all like 100 years ago. Also gives us at least some slight time frame of how long the Mecha-Udes have been here. They've been here at bare minimum 100 years, but definitely longer than that. But we have no idea how long they've been here in totality. But yeah, saying like it's his fault that Yakumo died, and the fact is they're in the state they're in. I wonder if that's something like the reason why they need arbitrium or something, or maybe it's a thing of we can't go back to our world because of you. Like you're the reason why we're stuck on this, and it probably has something to do with like locking the Ordella. Maybe it has something to do with that. The reason why they, well, at least Amaryllis blames Alma. But either way, June getting tired of Amaryllis looking down upon him. In fact, it just walks past him. He grabs her with his Ouroboros and ends up ripping and separating her from Fubuki. And obviously, like, he pushed his Mecha-Ude too far. And because as we saw, like, in episode 1, his hair is like a pale green. Like, it's a very, like, white, like the life's been drained out of it. Like the moment he like used up a lot of energy, I guess like burns up the arbitrium in his body, his hair goes back to that dull green. But it's up to Alma and Hikaru to fight Amaryllis and ultimately end up destroying her. Because she had like her army of people, her dolls that she was controlling, but luckily they were able to beat them. What I thought was so interesting is she was like, yo, like, what are you doing? Kind of saying like, whatever his situation is, I guess maybe his circumstances are different than the ones between Yakumo and Alma, because I wasn't paying as much attention. Like, I don't know if Alma was hooked onto a piece of clothing just like he is with Hikaru or not. I keep not paying as much attention to that detail. I definitely didn't pay as much in like episode, was that 4? I should have paid more attention to that detail, whether or not that's the case or not. Because the way she was acting made it seem like she had never seen something like that before in that capacity. So I'm curious if like Hikaru's circumstances are different. Once again, the whole his arbitrium is something very unique and special. And she was like, oh my god, I've been looking all over for this. Well, we know he's an ancestor of June's, but part of me wonders, is like Hikaru going to be like a like reincarnation of him type of situation, a la very Trails-esque. There's my Trails reference of the day. That maybe that's why Hikaru is so special, because I mean, I guess the same thing could be applicable, because I do keep making Katekyo Hitman Reborn comparisons. I mean, Suna's not the reincarnation of, what was Home Dude? Was he the 9th boss? It's been so long. It's been like well over a decade since I've watched Katekyo Hitman Reborn, or even read the manga. That was like well over a decade ago. I just don't remember what the circumstances were. But once again, like the Vongola boss that he looked similar to, so you're like, oh, is that his dad or something? But it's like, or his ancestor. I don't think they were ever blood related. I think it's just Suna inherited his spirit kind of thing. And that's what I'm wondering, if like Hikaru might not be his like resurrected form. Maybe that's what they're going with, maybe not. But at the very least, he inherited Yakumo's spirit. We don't know enough about Yakumo's like personality, but I'm gonna get the feeling like there's a lot of parallels you'll be able to draw between him and Hikaru, just personality wise. So, but yeah, everything was ultimately resolved, and you know, Hikaru's laying in bed the next morning, and it's 8 o'clock, and Aki hasn't burst through. It's not even just like, oh, the window's covered. It's like, no, the window has been fully repaired, but here she comes smashing through. And so he's kind of happy to see her, you know, because he went so long not having her bust through the window. It's like became a part of his everyday routine. And so Aki wants to pay him back for everything because she's like, right, I'll be your bodyguard 24 hours a day to pay that all back. But Hikaru's like, no, in fact, you can just kind of calm down. In fact, you could actually relax a lot more than you have been, lax up a little bit. But she's putting on glasses saying like, will you help me study? And it's like, yeah, her sister's doing good. She's going through rehab to kind of like build her strength back up in her body. I guess because of maybe the Amaryllis' circumstances are special because of that, like maybe there isn't going to be the whole like the having your Mecha-Ude ripped away from you. Maybe because of the type the Amaryllis was, it doesn't cause the leaking of arbitrium like the others do. I mean, because she did have a Mecha-Ude beforehand, and that was like, was it Sinus or Dex? I'm already forgetting. I think she had Sinus and Aki had Dex. But either way. So I guess we'll be seeing a lot more of Fubuki. I wonder if she's going to end up like going to school and stuff like that, or what. Like I'm sure that's also another thing. Like Aki wants to like try and make a good life for her sister. So I'm curious to see how that all shakes up and plays out. We also had the ending where like I guess June's brothers maybe like. Well, I guess maybe they're two different positions. Because, like, there's a chairman at the end who wants to use the Ordella to open the doorway to the Mecha-Ude world. I guess to be able to have more Mecha-Udes under their control. World domination type of thing. Who knows? But obviously they still need Alma so they can unlock it. He's the key to all of this. And the guy from the White Ravens is offering his services, and the chairman's like, normally I wouldn't accept your help, which I'm wondering why. I guess he's too sly. And like I said, it seemed like they're not connected, but I guess the White Ravens would still be under the Kagami conglomerate. So I don't know if like there's such a special entity that they kind of do their own thing or not. But yeah, he does say like, right, I'll need your help, then help me get Alma. So also, really quickly circling back to Hikaru, Alma kind of let it slip that Hikaru missed having her around. She's like, whoa, you missed me? He's like, no, it's just I was so used to you busting through my window or whatever. And she's like, fine, I'll continue to do that. And his friend is nearby like, oh my god, once again, she's so happy about this ship between the two of them. So I love that. But we also have our post-credit scene where Amaryllis is still alive. She's in one of her hosts. She's crawling away, trying to find another body to kind of replenish herself. But the person she was working for, because she wasn't doing this on her own, shows up and she's like, well, I did what you told me to do. Please, I didn't betray you. Either like, it might be a thing of she was told to do a certain thing, but she probably was like, you know what, screw that. I'm going to find Alma's person, Hikaru, and I'm going to drain them and I'm going to become stronger. And it's probably like, yeah, your hubris got the best of you and you wanted to become super powerful and you jeopardized everything. And it's like, right, we can't trust you. You've already failed us. So whoever that is. So there does seem to be a third party involved in all this. Once again, we had the main two parties of ARMS and Kagami, but I brought up previously who knows how many other groups there are out there and what their end result are. I wonder, are they going to be, is this person going to be a Mecha-Ude user situation similar to Amaryllis? Like, are they all going to be worm types or what? Some very, very interesting developments all across the board. I'm very excited to ultimately see what the next episode has in store for us with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.